welcome to this week's video. To start with, I have a question for you, and that is, have you been trying to change your lifestyle, whatever that might look like or include, but do you also feel like it's not sticking and do you feel like giving up? Please don't give up. It might come as a surprise to you, but when it comes to lifestyle change, we all make the same mistakes. And as somebody who's been in this area for 20 years professionally and even longer on a personal level, I can assure you that changing your lifestyle is complicated. I've made mistakes, or my clients make the same mistakes. So what I'm going to do in this video is share with you what is key to lasting lifestyle change in the sense of things you may have missed along your journey. So if you follow these tips and you grab these missing elements, then you'll find that you're going to get a lot closer to your goals a lot sooner. So stick around if you want to learn more about this. So right off the bat, we're going to start with the first reason why your lifestyle change might not be sticking, and that is maybe you didn't learn anything. So this is my pet peeve in the lifestyle, health, wellness industry, and that is that things are not focused on education. They are focused on just giving you some type of quick fix program that sounds amazing to get your money with the whole charge what you're worth philosophy. And at the end of that program, you probably didn't learn anything. You might have followed through all the steps. You might have lost weight. You might have implemented some changes, but if you don't understand why you're doing these things, it is highly likely that you are not going to keep doing them. Like us human beings, we need a lot of motivation in order to change, because there is a lot of temptation out there and we are all suffering on a certain level, emotionally, internally, like with feeling good about our lives, because we live in a world that preys on this aspect of us. So it's always trying to make us feel like we're not enough and we don't have enough. So we're in this perpetual cycle of wanting to get more, wanting to be better, whilst at the same time, we are bombarded with advertisements and projections of how we should be. And this makes it really hard to change because we are hardwired to fit in and do what we think is kind of cool or what we think is acceptable. And in this day and age, it is like looking a certain way, eating a certain way, living a certain way, having a certain house size, driving a fancy car, all of those things. So if you want to change, you really have to learn and understand how the body works on a fundamental level. And it's not that complicated. It's actually quite simple. Like for example, if you know why you need to eat more in order to lose weight, or why you need to fix your posture in order to get good results in the gym, or if you need to understand energetics in order to make mindset shifts, then it's going to be way easier for you to implement the changes and keep them there because you'll have the motivation because you understand how it's working on a deeper level. I can tell you right now that if I was a money hungry coach who didn't give a crap about anybody's well-being, I know exactly how I would make money quick. And that would be something like join my 12-week bikini body challenge, where I wouldn't care where you started and I wouldn't care about your long-term results. I'd just cut your calories back and push you really hard and use your before and after picture to drum up more business. I would take lots of steroids to stay really lean and then just chuck you into my 8-week program funnel. I tell you how to lose 10 kilos in 10 weeks by taking all your carbs away. I tell you how to lose weight without tracking your calories. You get the gist. None of those things work in the long term. So if somebody has no integrity, they're going to sell you those things because you're going to latch onto them and you're going to think they're going to create lasting change because you don't understand that change is something that happens over time. And we're going to get to that point a little bit later. But for now, just understand that you really want to get educated, and just doing an 8-week program where you just get given like a diet, a workbook or something like that, it's not going to create the lasting changes. It's going to send you on your way. So I'm not mocking that kind of thing. It's not going to create fundamental change in your nervous system and in your body so that you can continue to grow in the long term. So that's the first one. Got to get educated. So the second mistake that you might be making is that you might be expecting the results will just stick once you've done the initial process. So this mentality kind of indicates a lack of understanding around how complex the human body really is. We have very easily conditioned nervous systems that tend to stick into habits, and it's very hard to shift them from where we are to where we want to be. As the neuroscientist Dr. Joe Dispenza describes, by the age of 35, we are 95% just automated programs. So we're like running unconsciously. We're not really thinking. We're doing everything out of habit. And whether these habits are good for us or bad for us, that is just how we live. So in order to change, you actually have to become a different person. So the person you are now can't just do an 8-week program, which may be completely different to the way that you live and then go back to the person you are now. If you want those results to stick, you have to continue to be that person on that 8-week program, which then even further drives the point is that 8-week program you're on has to be something that is sustainable in the long term. So there are a lot of changes that need to be made, and you either want to do them step by step or you want to make a big quantum leap, but you just want to understand that you're going to make a lot of mistakes along the way. So you need to be resilient, focused, and disciplined when you want to change your lifestyle in the long term. And because of the fact that you're pretty much automatically functioning without thinking, you really have to be conscious and kind of hijack your own behavior on a frequent basis. So changes don't happen until you change, and they don't stick unless you stick with what it is that you started in order to make the change. Seems obvious, but sometimes we overlook those things. So the next mistake you might be making is that you might not be working on your mindset as you try to change. It is a very common belief that there is zero connection between the mind and the body. I have been told this by doctors, psychologists, and lots of mainstream professions like that, but it is fundamentally not true. The brain and body talk to each other all day via the nervous system. So signals go from here to the body and they go from the body up to here, and it just goes round and round and round and round. So that's how you become that automated being that Joe Dispenza describes. So in understanding that these things are talking to each other all the time, then you probably now understand that if you don't change your mindset, then nothing you do with your body or your lifestyle is actually going to change. Because what is it that's living this lifestyle? That is your body. Your body is moving through the world, whether you like it or not, and it's responding unconsciously to everything. So you got to change your mindset if you want to change your body. You got to work on the body if you want to change your mindset. There's a few factors that impact your mindset, and these are always overlooked. It is not as simple as just thinking positive, overriding limiting beliefs, meditating, all that kind of thing. These are all tools, but they are not the solution each and of themselves. So I'm just going to highlight 3 things that do directly impact your mindset that can really lead to lasting change, and that is inflammation, your ability to self-regulate, and your environment. Regarding inflammation, you might just not have a handle on things. High stress, poor sleep, refined sugar, seed oils, processed food, fast food, these all increase inflammation in your body no matter who you are. No one is immune to this. The thing with inflammation is that it is a natural process, and if we are not overrun with inflammation, then we have the inflammatory response in the body, and that is to bring everything back down to homeostasis again, so that's good. But what we don't want is chronic inflammation or neuroinflammation, which is the inflammation of the nervous system. So neuroinflammation is depression, anxiety, mood swings, fatigue, tremors, poor sleep, poor digestion, all of these different things. So most of my clients, once they go on a better diet, they don't drink as much alcohol, they don't eat as much of those foods I just mentioned, and they eat more wholesome foods and they eat to nourish themselves. Most of the time, their nervous system related symptoms like depression, anxiety, poor sleep, and fatigue will actually go away. But for other people, sometimes it's a deeper issue, and by making those changes, you can actually create space so that now you can see, you know what? My diet's perfect, and I'm feeling really great, but I've still got this emotional undertow that's coming up. And that's when you know that there is a deeper issue at work there. So that is when you might look into getting like a therapist or a counselor, or doing a little bit of digging and seeing what's going on there. Okay, so inflammation, very important to get on top of. Then we have self-regulation, which is your ability to manage the highs and lows of life. So we have what we call a window of tolerance, and we want to stay in that window. Or if we can't stay in the window, we want a nervous system that has the capacity to bring us back into the window. So if you consider anxiety as being too high and depression as being too low, you want your body to be able to kind of stay out of those extreme states, but if it does go into that state, it's only for a minute and then it comes back down into a state of sort of peace and safety. It's a lot more complicated than that, but just so you know, if you find yourself flying up into anxiety, working yourself up and having to like drink alcohol or eat really heavy meals or kind of exercise to like run it off, or if you find yourself so low that you can't hardly move or you space out and get a lot of brain fog, then this is a sign that you don't self-regulate very well. So once again, taking a bit of a deeper dive, managing your inflammation and trying to lower your stress is going to be key here. And as the body learns to stay in that safe window, it actually gets better at it. So the window kind of increases and it's easier for you to stay in there in the long term. That's something that meditation and breathing activities are really good for. And then regarding your environment, that includes everything. So it includes the way you eat, where you live, who you hang out with, who you're in a relationship with, you bond with your children, outside chemicals like pollution and petrol fumes, for example, and things like aluminium, pharmaceuticals, your drinking and your sleeping habits. All of these things come into the environment. So if you haven't yet heard of the term epigenetics, this describes the way that the environment alters the genes. So through the work of this really fantastic biologist called Bruce Lipton, they have discovered that about 95% of our disease conditions are actually triggered by the environment. Written in the DNA is the disease, but the lifestyle or the environment is actually what sets that off and turns it into an active condition. And inflammation is another thing that really contributes to that. So living a really low toxic life and getting as many toxins out of your environment as you can, especially your nutrition, this is a huge one. If you just start eating a little bit better, things are going to improve and they're going to stick a lot easier, because then your body is actually not fighting so hard to keep you alive. And keep in mind that your emotions and your mental health are a part of your environment as well. The way you perceive the world around you and the way you feel about yourself, these are all environmental factors that you can look into in order to change your mindset and get lasting lifestyle change results. And then we have number 4, which is that you might not be living in a way that you actually enjoy. So any change you make in the short term that you don't intend on making in the long term will not stick. So it kind of seems obvious, but changing your lifestyle is all about finding a healthy way to live that you actually enjoy and that you can do in the long term. If you're trying to lose weight, as an example, then yes, you are going to have to go on some type of deficit and eat a bit less food for a period of time. But you need to do this in a way that is not so destructive to your overall lifestyle that you can't stand the thought of eating like that any longer. So the only real difference between like a fat loss process and a normal living process of a healthy lifestyle is you're actually just eating a bit less. In order to lose weight, you've really got to eat whole food. So the healthy lifestyle really has to be there before you even start trying to lose fat. Just like going to the gym and doing, say, weights for 12 weeks or 6 months or whatever to build a bikini body, and then not going to the gym anymore because you didn't actually really like it, is not going to lead to muscle maintenance. You're going to lose everything you put on because your lifestyle has now changed. So your body is so adaptable. Like every single thing that you do and every way that you live is what creates the body that you live in. And I'm not talking about aesthetically, I'm talking about health-wise. So in a healthy body is a catalyst for a fantastic life lived. So in terms of dieting and a healthy lifestyle, this is why something like flexible dieting was invented, because it got us away from the whole clean eating thing where we thought that we couldn't eat any like dairy, wheat, any vegetable other than broccoli to live a healthy lifestyle. We realized actually, you know what, you can. You just don't want to eat it excessively and you just want to understand what's in your food and how to build healthy meal plans. And that's what helped you stick to a healthy lifestyle in the long run. So in that sense, the transition is not from, say, a heavy dieting process to eating just crazy anything they want. It's actually from counting everything that they eat, understanding that they actually can't fit that much junk food in when they count their food, and then eventually deciding to go on to intuitive eating where you stop counting and you just eat whatever you want. But by then your hormones are balanced, your gut is healthy, your nervous system is healthy, you understand food, your metabolism's healthy, and now you're just going to eat in a way that's sustainable and that's healthy for you long term. So the 5th reason why your lifestyle change might not stick is that maybe you didn't set a clear goal. You have to set very, very, very clear goals if you want a lifestyle change to stick, because if you don't know where you're trying to get to, you're not going to know when you got there, and you're also not going to know what exactly it is that you have to do in order to get there. So again, it seems really obvious, but it's a common slip up, and I used to make this mistake all the time. I didn't really know exactly where it was that I was heading, so I'd kind of fire off in that direction way too hard, of course, not in a way that would last, but back when I used to make a lot of mistakes. And then when there was a slip up, I just kind of dropped the ball because I don't really know where I'm going anyway, or I had no idea what was really involved in that goal. Maybe it was something that was going to take me 10 years, but I thought I could get there in 6 months. So of course I'm not going to make it because I haven't done any research. I don't understand what's required of me. I don't know what my life's going to look like. I don't know how I'm going to maintain it. Of course I'm not going to achieve it. And then keep in mind that in order to achieve a goal, you have to become the person who is the end goal. Like the body has to be on board. You can't just kind of project into the future and hope for it. You've actually got to be that person. So there's certain ways that you would live. For example, a healthy lifestyle wouldn't involve drinking a bottle of wine every night. And if you actually interviewed somebody who had a really healthy lifestyle that you were inspired by, I guarantee you that they will not tell you they drink a bottle of wine a night. And that's kind of how you frame out your goals. and work out where you're headed. So you want to find some type of inspirational icon. You either ask them questions directly or just start analyzing what they do and see how that works. You know, like most of my clients come from other clients. They'll find out from their friend or family member what exactly it is that's got them feeling so good. And then they'll say, well, I'm doing this program with my food and I'm weighing everything and I'm going to the gym and I'm working on this, you know, and then they'll either immediately go, hells yeah, I could do that. And then they'll contact me. Or they might go, oh, no, you know, I want that end goal, but I don't want to be counting my food. You know, so that person is not going to become that person who can achieve the goal that they want because they're actually not interested in being a part of the process. So that's a really key thing to focus on when you're looking at goals. So in summary on that one, I always get my clients to identify where it is they want to go, work out what habits they actually need. Are they willing to invest in those habits? And what are they willing to do in the long term? Do they actually like living like this, or is this something that they just want to do short term? And I make it very clear that if they stop what they're doing, their results are going to go. And last but not least, maybe you're not laying the foundations that are required for lasting change. So you can't build a house just by starting with the roof, right? You've got to build the floor first, then you put in the walls, and then I'm not really sure of the rest of the process, but eventually the roof goes on the very end. So what most people would do in terms of a lifestyle change, they try and build the roof first. They didn't do any of the rest of it. So they just go to like a HIIT class, or they just like go vegan, or they try and start like thinking positive, or they start this gratitude journal and they think that that's going to correct everything. These are kind of like decoration pieces, but you have to have the foundational stuff done first. So as far as your nutrition and stuff is concerned, then metabolism is your number one focus. If it is not healthy, nothing lasts. So if you do a diet in a way that damages your metabolism, you're not going to sustain the end result. And if you have a damaged metabolism in the sense of you don't eat that well, this is not a judgment, by the way, we all start there. But if you want to start fixing your diet, understand that the first thing you're actually doing is not losing weight, it is just correcting your metabolism. You're trying to put really great food into the body, get all those hormones to reset, lower that inflammation, the neuroinflammation, and start building a foundational metabolism which is strong and healthy and resilient. And then you might look in doing something like losing fat, or doing something more extreme, like if you're really interested in doing something like cutting out dairy or grains, you might do that. But you want to build a foundational healthy metabolism first. And that means eating a really great amount of maintenance calorie on a daily basis for as long as you can, with as good a food as you can get your hands on. And then as far as your movement and your exercise is concerned, your posture is so important. So just understanding that women, as I've mentioned in previous videos, aren't the best at physical activity by design, but we can absolutely become amazing at physical activity by building strong foundations in the body. And that is called the posterior chain. And I talk about it all the time, but by correcting that and sorting out all those weaknesses, then you're going to have a much faster road to success, and anything you do in the gym is going to pay off big time. And then the foundational element of your mindset and say overall health is your self-regulation, which is what I mentioned earlier in the video. So your ability to stay within a really safe window where the body can bounce back and stay healthy and regulate itself without you having to lean on your addictions or your coping mechanisms in order to sustain your well-being. So for example, if a exercise plan is actually a coping mechanism for you and you're exercising 3 times a day, or you're not eating as a coping mechanism, or you're binge eating as a coping mechanism, this means that you are not self-regulating. So this will not last, because eventually, if you're living in a dysregulated state, and I've only learned this year, by the way, because I've lived a bit of a crazy life as far as how far I have pushed my body, you know, the results won't stick, because the body will eventually rebel. It's like a rubber band. You pull it back and you push it and you push it and you push it and you push it, and then, you know, let it go. And boom, things blow up, you start having problems, you can't maintain the lifestyle, you lose the results, you start going backwards. You know, so that's really important. Metabolism, posture, and self-regulation. So those are my tips on the mistakes you might be making that might be making your lifestyle change a little bit more difficult than it should be. And remembering that everybody has the same struggle. We are not taught these things. We all make the same mistakes, and that is why you should take it from me, because I've been working on this for a very long time and I understand what is required, and I've seen it time and time again with hundreds of women. So it's super, super important just to harness those basic things. So have a good honest look at how you're doing things and see if there's anything you can correct out of those pointers. And just quickly before we go, I wanted to introduce to you the Wildly Strong Women's Health Academy, which is my latest venture where I have put all of my coaching wisdom into one platform. It's designed like a 12-week full lifestyle overhaul, but it can be done over 12 months. You have 12 months access to the platform where it dives very deep into educating you on all of the fundamental things regarding women's nutrition, mindset, and training. So everything that I included in this video is covered extensively, as well as topics like energetics, femininity. They've got training tutorials on there, meal prep, sample meal plans, all the myths have been debunked and things like that. So it's all on there on one very easy to access platform. You can do it on your own, or you can sign up via application to get a bit more of a one-on-one experience. So if you haven't checked that out yet, I will link it down below and you'll find all of the information. If you want more information, that's when you hit the apply here button and we can get in contact and we will have a consultation together and see how it can benefit you. That's all I have for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it helps. I was actually stuck this week a little bit in what I wanted to make in the video. So if you have any suggestions for future videos, pop them in the comments or send me a message. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Bye.